The lawyer across the table folded his hands and said my son's name like it was a line item. "The Whitfield family," he said, "only wants what's best for Eli." I set my folder down on the table, 312 pages, tabbed, dated, indexed, and I thought about the night they stood over my 4-pound son in an incubator and called him a waste of money. They never imagined I'd still have the receipt. Welcome back to Calm Family Secrets, the channel where quiet women finally get their turn to speak plainly and without apology. If this is your first time here, stay till the end, because the last 5 minutes of this one, I promise you, you will not see coming. Now let me take you back to where it actually started. My name is Sarah Whitfield. I'm 29. I work as a family law paralegal in Columbus, Ohio, which matters later, so hold on to that. I married Marcus 4 years ago. He was warm in a way his family wasn't. His mother, Diane, ran the Whitfield name like a company with a brand to protect. Old money, older opinions, and a very specific idea of what a Whitfield wife should look like. I was not it. I didn't come from money. I came from a 2-bedroom apartment and a mother who worked doubles. Diane never said that out loud. She didn't have to. She had a way of looking at my shoes. When I got pregnant, Marcus was the happiest I'd ever seen him. At 27 weeks, 3 months early, my blood pressure spiked without warning, and I was in an ambulance before I understood what preeclampsia even meant. Eli was born at 2 pounds, 11 ounces. Small enough that Marcus's wedding ring slid over his entire fist like a bracelet. 61 days in the NICU, wires, alarms, a ventilator smaller than my hand. I learned to read oxygen numbers the way other new mothers learn lullabies. 3 weeks in, Diane and her husband Richard came to see him. I remember thinking, foolishly, that maybe this a 2-pound baby fighting to breathe might finally soften something in her. She stood at the incubator glass for exactly 90 seconds. Then she turned to Richard and said, "Not even quietly $60,000 in medical bills for this. What a waste of money." Marcus's face went white. He told her to leave. She did. And I stood there holding my son's tiny hand through a hole in an incubator. And I made myself a promise. I would never, ever let that family decide what my son was worth. I didn't know yet how hard I'd have to keep that promise. Eli came home. He grew. By his first birthday, you'd never have guessed how small he started. Marcus and I were finally settling into something that felt like peace. Then, 11 months after Eli was born, on a Tuesday in March, Marcus was driving home from his father's office. Richard had been pulling him deeper into the family business for months when a truck ran a red light on Route 33. He didn't make it to the hospital. I was 28 years old, a widow, with a 1-year-old son and a mortgage, and a family that had never once asked to hold their own grandson without an audience present. At the funeral, Diane didn't cry near me. She cried near the guests. And 3 weeks later, her lawyer called mine, not to check on Eli, to request a meeting about, and I'm quoting the letter, the child's long-term welfare and the family's rightful role in his upbringing. I read that sentence 4 times before it landed. They didn't want to visit. They wanted custody. Here's the thing about working in family law for 6 years. You stop being surprised by what people will do, and you start automatically asking one question. Cui bono? Who benefits? So instead of panicking, I did what I do at my desk every day. I pulled the file. First thing I found, Richard Whitfield's company had quietly filed for a restructuring 6 months before Marcus died. Not bankruptcy, worse, for their image. A slow bleed. Diane's country club dues had lapsed. Twice. Second thing, Marcus's grandfather, Diane's own father-in-law, had set up an irrevocable trust decades ago. $12 million, meant for the first Whitfield great-grandchild to reach adulthood, with one condition buried on page 40, the funds released early, at a reduced but still enormous sum, if that child's primary legal guardian was a Whitfield by blood or marriage residing in the family estate. I sat with that for a long time. Eli wasn't a waste of money to them anymore. Eli was the money. I thought about screaming. Instead, I opened a blank document and titled it, out of habit, the way I title every case file at work, Whitfield v. Whitfield Exhibit List. Over the next 3 weeks, I built it properly. Screenshots of Diane's texts to her sister bragging about getting the estate sorted before the trust deadline. A voicemail Richard left my mother-in-law, forwarded to me by accident from Marcus's old phone, discussing moving the boy in before the accountant's cutoff. And the pediatric records 61 days of NICU visits, and exactly 1 visit from Diane and Richard combined, in Eli's entire first year of life. I am not a woman who yells. I am a woman who tabs. They didn't come at me all at once. They came in waves, the way families do when they've rehearsed it. Diane first, over coffee I didn't want. You're young, Sarah. You could remarry, travel. We could give Eli a life you simply can't provide alone. Then, Richard, calling my office my workplace to remind me that a judge tends to favor family stability, and frankly, a single working mother is a lot for a toddler. Then Diane's sister, Aunt Carol, who I'd met exactly twice, sending a long message about how this isn't personal, it's what's best for the family legacy. And then, the offer. Diane sat across from me in my own kitchen and said the quiet part loud enough for once. Give us primary guardianship. We'll set up a fund for you too, Sarah. No one has to be the enemy here. I looked at the woman who called my son a waste of money while he was fighting for his life on a ventilator, now offering to buy him from me like a house that had appreciated in value. I told her I'd think about it. I did not think about it. I filed the exhibit list the next morning. The hearing was on a Thursday. Diane's attorney spoke first, painting a picture of a loving, stable, established family ready to give Eli every advantage. Then it was my turn. I didn't raise my voice. I never do. I laid out the timeline, 61 NICU days, 1 visit. I laid out the words spoken over my son's incubator, sourced from a nurse who'd overheard and was willing to sign an affidavit. And then I laid out the trust document, the restructuring filing, and the voicemail side by side, dated, in order, exactly the way I file every case that crosses my desk. Your Honor, I said, the Whitfields didn't want my son when he was too small to be worth anything on paper. They want him now because a document says he's worth $12 million in 9 years, and they'd like to be standing close enough to touch it when the check clears. The courtroom was very quiet. Diane did not look at me. Real courtrooms don't gasp, but I watched her lawyer's shoulders drop half an inch, and I knew the way you know a monitor is about to alarm before it does that it was over. The judge denied the custody petition in 11 minutes. Supervised, limited visitation only, contingent on family counseling, which, unsurprisingly, the Whitfields never scheduled. My attorney later petitioned to have Eli named directly as a protected trust beneficiary, with an independent trustee, not Diane, not Richard, not me, just Eli. His money, held for him, untouchable by anyone standing near it. I still send Diane photos twice a year. Birthday, and the anniversary of the day Eli came home from the NICU. Not because I forgave the words she said over that incubator, I haven't, and I don't think I owe her that. I send them because Eli didn't choose his family any more than I chose mine, and someday he gets to decide for himself what kind of relationship, if any, he wants with the people who share his blood. That decision will never again belong to anyone but the two of us. Eli is 2 now. He actually runs, this loud, thundering toddler, run through a house that is entirely, legally, permanently ours. Sometimes I still catch myself checking his breathing at night, an old habit from the NICU, that I don't think will ever fully leave me. They called him a waste of money once, standing over a boy who weighed less than a bag of sugar. A year later, they tried to put a $12 million price tag on him and call it love. If someone has ever measured your child's worth by what he could get them, tell me in the comments. I read every one. And if this story mattered to you, hit subscribe. There's another one waiting for you next week.